Hey everybody, this is Jim, Midnight Road Garage, and today we're taking a trek out to the woods to see if I can get this 69 Cadillac hearse rolling. We used it for a photo shoot, and well, everybody kind of left me out here alone with the hearse. So let me see if I can get it running so I can drive it back to the shop. If you want to see more about the hearse, check the link above. But basically it's a 1969 Cadillac. It has a 472 Cadillac engine with, at the moment, a dead distributor. The points are shot, and instead of going through the hassle of replacing all that, I'm just going to install a Pertronix Ignitor II electronic pickup on it, and it should run much better that way. So let me go get the parts and the tools, and we'll get started on replacing this. So let's take a look at what we need for this little project. This is the Ignitor II electronic ignition kit that I'm going to use. You can see the part number right there. It's the 91181LS. Fits just an absolute ton of GM points distributors. So there's the box. It comes with some directions, and then this is what replaces the points right here. And here's a couple wire connectors, a couple screws you're going to use. I'm sure I'll say this again, but it does not go in the exact place of the points. It's actually about 180 from where the points go. So keep that in mind as you're installing it. Of course, that's all in the directions, which you should also read. In addition, I'm going to go ahead and replace the coil. Coil on this Cadillac looks pretty old, so that's I'm just going to go ahead and replace that one there. There's a box. I got a flamethrower 2, 0.6 ohm coil. If you read the back, it's specifically made for the Ignitor, II. So it matches that. Here are the tools I'm going to bring out with me to begin with. I may need to come back into the shop and get something else. I got a Phillips, a pair of needle nose, a standard, some wire crimpers, and of course I've got some vice grips just in case. Again, I'm not in the shop, so I'm just going to bring something to help me out there. And I also have the croquet mallet. We're definitely going to need, wait, no, we're probably not going to need that. That's for a different video. Anyway, this is what we need. So let's get started. Back at the car, and first thing I did was disconnect the battery, and now you can probably see there's two coils in here. I had tried a different coil just to see if the coil was bad when I was messing with it earlier, but it was not the coil. It was bad points. So we're going to go ahead and disconnect that coil, and then get the old coil out of there as well. And let me just go ahead and pop the cap off real quick. That's done with a flat blade screwdriver. Out of there. Now the directions say not to disconnect any of this, but since I'm replacing the coil, just remember that the positive on the coil is the wire that's coming from the car. The negative on the coil is always the wire coming from the distributor. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pop the rotor off. Just you probably don't need to take this off. I'm taking it off just so it's easier for us to look at. Our directions say get the points out of there, and this wire's got to come out too. These actually look like they're fairly new points, but I think it just sat too long. Now sometimes with points you can take a piece of cardboard or some sandpaper and put it between the points. It'll get the points to work again. But this was having none of that, and I was in a rush. The models were here already. I was trying to get this thing started so we could get it over here. What we ended up doing instead, as you saw in the last video, is we just towed it. Here's the old point setup. That's how they work. Spark, 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 until they don't work. So we look here in the distributor, you'll see there is a ground wire right there. That you want to leave alone. But we're going to just cut the end of this guy right here. See, this is the wire that went to the coil. And then on the other end went to the points. I'm just pulling it out of the distributor. Now, I'm assuming that that hole that I just brought that through has a grommet in it that we're going to push out, and then we're going to put a new grommet in there. Alright, so there's the old grommet. I pulled that out of the distributor where the distributor wire, the points wire, went through the distributor. There's that grommet. So you got to get that grommet out there so you can put the new grommet in. As you can see, the new grommet has a much bigger hole because the electronic ignition has 2 wires that comes out of it. So you need to feed 2 wires through the distributor. So I went down there to get the grommet out. I am going to reach underneath the distributor. I'm going to go under the distributor to put the grommet in. You can reach under and feel the hole. So I'm not going to try and do that from the top. Okay, it's kind of hard to see, but I assure you it's down there. The new grommet is where the old grommet was, and now I can feed the 2 wires from the Ignitor II down through the distributor and out to where we can put it up on the coil. Based on the directions, we're going to use this screw and this screw. These are going to go right like this, and then these wires will drop down through the grommet. I'm going to take those screws out real quick. Now, it did come with new screws to use, so we are going to use those. Okay, you can see our igniter is installed now with the 2 screws here. Remember, the points were all the way over here. So now I'm going to run these 2 wires this way and then down through the hole instead of the other way, which would kind of make sense to run it that way. I mean, you would think it would look better that way. I'm doing it this way because down here is your vacuum advance mechanism, and so this whole plate moves and you have a moving part here. Plus the distributor itself spins, so this kind of going this way keeps the wires away from all of that. You can see the way I run the wires. Came with these, so we need to put these on. That in there, and then with your crimping tool, you want to just crimp the crap out of it. That one's good. Got that in there. All right, that's crimped. This is the point where we want to put the distributor cap back on, and you forget to put the rotor button on, and then you wonder why it's not working. But we're not going to forget. We're going to put this in here. It's easy to figure out what goes where. You learned this in kindergarten. Square peg, square hole. Round peg, round hole. So, pretty simple. See, you thought you didn't need any of that stuff you learned in school. Turns out you did. And that's about the only thing. But later we'll discuss trigonometry. But not right now. Alright, so that's on. Put this on. Get it out of the way. Because this car is a 1969, it probably has a ballast resistor somewhere. And I'm going to have to look that up at some point. But for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and hook it up. It will run with the ballast resistor, but it won't run as nearly as good as it can as long as you've got that ballast resistor in there. So I'll have to track that down if it does indeed have one, which it probably does, and bypass it. But anyway, so for this, our black wire. So for this setup, your black wire goes to the negative on the coil, and your red goes to positive. Now, in addition to the red going to positive, you also need to hook up your original ignition wire as well. Again, I'm pretty sure this has a ballast on it somewhere, which I'm going to have to find and redo. Either that or just rerun the ignition wire. But for now, we're just going to hook it up and see if we can get this thing to run so I can get it back to the shop. I know I should be using the correct tools, but I'm not at the shop. I'm just using what I have on hand, so I didn't have to carry the whole toolbox down here. Oh, there's plenty of room in the back of this thing for me to carry it back. Okay, y'all, I got a little sidetracked yesterday. A friend came over and, well, we ended up going to dinner instead of me finishing this. So we were to the part where I was getting ready to start it, and it didn't want to start. So I've checked everything over, and we're gonna give it a little shot. And let's see what happens. Okay, everybody, that's basically how you install a Pertronix Ignitor II in a '69 Cadillac, and many other GM cars from that same era. It's pretty much the same thing. Please like and subscribe. Definitely subscribe. Leave a comment down in the comment section. Let me know you subscribed. I will be sure to hit you back. There will be other videos on this car, so if you don't want to miss those, subscribe. So anyways, see you guys down the road. Thanks for watching.